This suit I'm wearing tells the story of October 24th, 1978, the exact day men stopped wearing suits to the airport. You've been in that airport, someone in front of you at the gate, head-to-toe tracksuit, house slippers, neck pillow already on, blanket tucked under their arm, basically in bed, standing in public in one of the most glamorous spaces ever built. And nobody blinked, because this is just what airports look like now. We've normalized it so completely that most people don't even remember it was different. Men in suits, women in dresses, children dressed up because their parents made them. That world is gone. But there is a specific law that caused this, a specific date, a specific signature. October 24th, 1978. That is the exact day flying stopped being special. You're probably blaming the airlines. Most people do, and honestly, they deserve it. Shrinking seats, bag fees, boarding zones designed to make economy passengers feel like cattle watching first class eat warm nuts while they wait in line with a number on their chest. But that's not the root cause, not even close. The root cause is a piece of legislation most people have never heard of, signed by a president nobody connects to fashion or to flying. And it didn't just change how airlines operate, it changed who flies, what flying means, and yes, what people wear when they do it. Before that law, the airport looked nothing like what it does today. So let's go back. It's 1965, New York Idlewild Airport, what we now call JFK. You're catching a Pan Am flight to London. You're wearing a suit. Not because someone told you to, because this is what you wear to the airport. The men around you are in jackets and ties, notch lapels, structured shoulders, the kind of tailoring that signals you understand the occasion. Women in dresses, hats, sometimes gloves. Even the children are dressed up because their parents made them, because this is an occasion. Flying was an occasion. Sit with what that actually means. Your ticket cost the equivalent of a small car. That meant everyone around you had made the same financial commitment. The airport reflected that, quieter and less crowded, the energy somewhere between a hotel lobby and an opening night at the theater. And then you board the plane. Seats roughly 40 inches of pitch compared to the 30 to 32 inches you are folding yourself into today. There is a lounge, there is a bar. On some 747s, there is literally a piano lounge upstairs. But the thing that truly defined this era, the thing nobody has replicated since, was the meal service. Pan Am partnered with Maxim's de Paris, one of the most celebrated restaurants in the world. Multi-course meals, real china, actual silverware, flight attendants trained to deliver the whole service like a dinner at a Michelin restaurant at 35,000 feet. A former Pan Am vice president described it later. It really was as glamorous as it looks. There were dress codes, but people would have dressed well even without the rules. Sit with that line. People would have dressed well without the rules, because the price justified the occasion, and the occasion justified the effort. The suit was not a uniform, it was a signal that you understood what kind of moment this was. That was the golden age of aviation, precisely dated 1958 to 1978. 20 years. And then one man ended it. His name was Jimmy Carter. Before the comments start, this isn't a political take. What Carter did in 1978 was, by most economic measures, a genuine success. But it also permanently changed what it means to fly. On October 24, 1978, Carter signed the Airline Deregulation Act. Before that law, the United States airline industry was controlled by the Civil Aeronautics Board, called the CAB. It set ticket prices. It controlled which routes airlines could fly. It decided which carriers could go where. Commercial aviation was run like a protected utility, regulated, standardized, insulated from the kind of price competition that would eventually strip the experience down to almost nothing. The man who actually drove deregulation through the CAB from the inside was Alfred E. Kahn, the economist Carter appointed as CAB chairman specifically to dismantle the thing he was running. Ted Kennedy, of all people, had championed the Senate hearings that built the political case for it. Strange coalition, but it worked. The argument for deregulation was clean. Competition drives prices down and quality up. Free the airlines from government control and watch innovation happen. And part of that did happen. Airfares fell roughly 25% in the decades that followed. Flying became something ordinary people could do without saving for months, without treating it as a once-in-a-generation event. But here's what wasn't in the economist's model. When the price of a thing drops, the prestige of that thing drops with it. Before deregulation, your ticket cost as much as a small car. Everyone around you had made the same sacrifice, and that shared cost created a shared standard of dress, of behavior, of mutual respect for the space and the experience. The moment that cost collapsed, so did the standard. A new kind of airline appeared almost immediately, the low-cost carrier, built not around experience but around access. Southwest Airlines is the story here. At the time of the Deregulation Act, Southwest was a tiny regional carrier because Civil Aeronautics Board rules had confined it entirely to Texas. The moment those rules disappeared, Southwest exploded. Today, it is the largest domestic carrier in the United States by passenger numbers. But Southwest was not alone. People Express Airlines launched in 1981, flying Newark to Burlington for $23. Standing room pricing, self-service ticketing. They proved the floor could go even lower. And Braniff Airways, which had tried to have it both ways with bold design, expansion ambition, and deregulated prices, went bankrupt in 1982. One of the first major casualties. The market was sorting itself out, fast. The airlines that proved flying could be cheap, fast, and purely transactional didn't create a hub-and-spoke network. They abandoned the old point-to-point prestige routes entirely and rebuilt routing around volume and efficiency. A bus, a very fast bus, and you don't dress up for a bus. The carriers that tried to hold the line, Pan Am included, struggled. Pan Am kept the Silver Service going, maintained the Maxim's de Paris partnership, held the standard, and went bankrupt in 1991. The market had spoken. Cheap won. Every year since, the experience has drifted further in that direction. Smaller seats, more fees, less food, less service, less ceremony, and less reason to dress like the flight is an occasion because it stopped being one. Fast forward to November 2025. The U.S. Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy, is standing at Newark Airport giving a speech, and he's saying something that sounds almost surreal coming from a government official in 2025. Stop wearing your pajamas to the airport. His exact words, let's try not to wear slippers and pajamas as we come to the airport. If you dress a little better, you behave a little better. He launched an official government campaign, the U.S. Department of Transportation, called it the Golden Age of Travel Initiative. Why? Because in-flight disturbances have surged 400% since 2019. Violence on planes is a documented, escalating problem. Nearly 1 in 5 flight attendants reported a physical incident in 2021. The FAA data is not ambiguous. Duffy's argument, how you dress shapes how you behave. He got roasted for it. The response online was, dress up for the airport when the legroom comes back. Which is fair. That's a genuinely fair point. But here's what nobody in that conversation said. The reason the legroom is gone is the exact same reason nobody's dressing for the flight anymore. Both are downstream of October 24th, 1978. The day flying stopped being an occasion and became a transaction. And then, the punchline. Pan Am is back. The airline that defined the Golden Age. That went bankrupt in 1991. That became the symbol of everything the deregulation era dismantled. It's been revived. A $60,000 per ticket nostalgia air cruise in June 2025, with FAA certification being pursued for a full relaunch. A commemorative product. A memory with a price tag. Because the real thing is gone. The only version of it that exists now is the idea of it, sold to people who miss something most of them never actually experienced. Think about what that means. So here's where this lands. The Airline Deregulation Act of 1978 made flying accessible to hundreds of millions of people who couldn't have afforded it before. That's genuinely good, full stop. But it also changed what flying is. It stopped being an occasion and became a transaction. And when it became a transaction, the ceremony went with it. The standards went, the dress code went, the suit went. Not because people got lazy, not because standards fell, not because anyone decided those things were bad, but because the shared cost that justified the shared standard was gone. You're not imagining it. Airports used to mean getting dressed up, men in suits, structured, considered, dressed for the moment. The reason they don't anymore isn't attitude, it isn't culture, it isn't a generation that doesn't care. It's a 46-year-old law, signed on a Tuesday in October 1978, and we've been paying for it in legroom ever since. If this one landed, the next investigation in this series connects directly. Subscribe so you don't miss it.